Hey everyone, James Labrie from Dream Theater, and you're listening to or watching the podcast Talking into Infinity with JT and Brian. Enjoy this. These guys are extremely informative. I love their dialogue. I love their interpretation of the songs, who and what we are, what we were going after. They're very accurate in their interpretations and descriptions, and I just think this is a great show, and these guys are doing a stand-up stellar job. So once again, enjoy Talking into Infinity with JT and Brian.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Talking into Infinity, a Dream Theater podcast. I am your host, John. We are live on YouTube, Facebook, talkingintoinfinity.com, and the CMSnetwork.com. If you are looking for video replays of the show, go to our YouTube page, or Heavy Metal Television. That is our main platform. Check out Heavy Metal Television for all of your hard rock and heavy metal news, multiple channels for pretty much anything you can think of if you're into metal. So go there. If you would like to take part in the chat, again, just jump onto our Facebook and YouTube page, and we are right there for you to talk to. So without further ado, I would like to bring on my co-host, Brian. What is going on, man?
Hey, what's going on, man? You know, since the last time we talked, there's been two really huge things. First of all, Alien, the full thing was released. Now, you actually had heard it before I did.
Yes.
I'd only heard the snippets of it, and man, obviously we're now almost 2 weeks since it came out, but absolutely blown away. It really feels like a decent continuation from the last album. I feel hints of Barstool Warrior, hints of Pale Blue Dot in there. The way it's mixed and the way the stuff that the guitar is doing, just absolute masterpiece. I cannot wait to hear the rest, because as we've said before, this is probably going to be like an average song on the album. You know, they never released the best track to start. And the second thing was that the second cool thing was you were kind enough to invite me to go witness one Mr. Sammy Hagar live in concert.
Yeah.
And that was absolutely amazing. We got third row balcony, I believe it was, somewhere around there, third, fourth, fifth row.
Center stage, man. That was like the perfect seat.
Center stage, great show. I'll let you elaborate more on that. You're more of the Sammy fan than me, but I appreciate it, man. That was an awesome show to see, like, just legends up there. Jason Bonham on drums, Vic Johnson just annihilated guitar, and Michael Anthony, of course. Michael Anthony even sang lead on like 4 or 5 songs, man. He sounded great too.
Yep. Yeah, Sammy's one of those guys. Rex J. Cox, what's up, man? Good to see you, buddy. Thanks for checking in. Ooh, DeLorean in his profile picture. I like it. Back to the Future. All right, 88 miles an hour. Yeah, Sammy's one of those guys, man. Like, you've seen him over the years. You know, as you said, like, I might be a little bit bigger Sammy fan than you are. But, I mean, you know, he was less than 2 months from turning 74 years old, and he sounded phenomenal. I mean, did he tune down? Yeah, but he wasn't Ozzy tuned down. You know, Ozzy tunes to Q, like Sammy tunes down a full step. But even then, he's not cheating notes. He's doing everything he can to hit those cool screams and stuff. And he's got a great, Van Halen set list. And they pulled out some Led Zeppelin, and the Sammy stuff that he did. I mean, he did some rare Sammy solo stuff, and the guy just puts on a show. He puts on a party. It's it kind of feels like one of those things where even though he's the rock star, it's like it kind of feels like there's like 2,000 people in the room, and someone's like, man, there's a bunch of amps and drums on stage, like, anybody know how to play this crap? And Sammy and Mikey and Vic Johnson and Jason Bonham just like, oh, we can just get up there, and they just, it's like a drunken party. It's really cool. And it's, I was really happy that you were able to go, because, obviously you and I, we go out of town to see Dream Theater. We've gone out of town to see Sons of Apollo. We do go to a lot of concerts together, as much as we bust on each other's balls, it was really cool to have you there, man, because I was really excited for you to see, like, how good the guy still sounds. It's pretty cool. We've lost a lot rock and roll legends lately. Obviously Eddie last year. Charlie Watts just died from the Stones, and for a guy like Sammy to just be up there kicking that much ass, it's really cool to see. Because how much longer are we going to see that? So
it's so weird watching a show where literally the entire time stuff is just being thrown at him, and he stops whatever it is he's doing and signs it all and throws it back out there. It's like, I don't know. To me, it would get a little bit. It was funny too because that whole thing was basically a charity concert, right?
Yeah,
the
for
majority
the
of
Children's Food Bank. Yeah.
Yeah, so I went to the Akron Children's Hospital and Food Bank or whatever.
Yeah.
But so he got to a point where he's like, "Look, I got to stop signing stuff because you guys aren't going to bid on all the stuff I already signed, to make money at the auction."
Yeah.
It was funny, but
Right.
I mean, just banners, hats, shirts. I mean, everything, like programs, everything just being thrown up there just nonstop. And he's like dodging them, and he's trying to sign them during solos, and trying to extend songs to sign stuff. It's just, I don't know. It was crazy. It was awesome though. He really is like just a true rock god, but he's like a fan. He's a fan of the experience. The music I think he loves, but he just loves entertaining people. He loves putting a smile on people's face. And I don't know if you saw I think it was like an MTV. No, actually I believe it was maybe Mike Wallace, or it was like a 60 Minutes on Sammy Hagar, and he will like randomly go into like hospitals in Los Angeles and just go, "Hey, what's like the 3 highest medical bills you got," or whatever. He'll like pays people's medical bills like anonymously, just crazy stuff like that. And it's like, man, what a true just like ambassador to how to be like a rock god,
Yeah. I mean, it's everything you would hope. Like, you're like, man, if I was rich and I was famous, like, I would love to do all these shows, but I'd also love to do this with my money. And like, Sammy does it all. I mean, and he's continuing to do it all. And it's like you said, it's like he's an ambassador. It's, I think I told you the story that night, but a couple years ago when I saw him, it was like, I think it was not even 2 weeks after his birthday bash. And he was talking on stage about how he and Mikey still felt drunk and ha ha ha. Well, they had a bottle on stage and they got hammered on stage. And they did ramble on the mic and stuff. Dude, it was like you would go see a local band if the local band was absolutely amazing and played great classic rock songs.
Right.
And I was like, dude, I love this. Like, it's such a throwback to like, more innocent times. And it's just fantastic, man. It was really cool that you could go, and it was a great time. We had great seats, and the drinks. Well, okay, well that was expensive, but
and what did I pay? What was it? $12 for a twisted tea, I think.
Yeah, it was 50. I'll never forget it was $52.14.
Yeah.
For a shot of Jaeger, a twisted tea, a Corona, and a Mick Ultra.
Yeah, that's hard to do.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't as bad as my prices in Detroit for Guns N' Roses and Wolfgang Van Halen, but it was up there. It was up there. So, yeah, but I mean, back to your comments about the Alien. I was so excited for you to hear it because I mean, it really is. It's a great song. I think I agree with a lot of people online who keep saying the alien is Mike Mangini. Like, I mean, his drums on that are just, I mean, ungodly.
Yeah.
It's like, what the hell? I was thinking today, I was listening to it on the way home from work, and I thought, if Mike Portnoy ever does come back, which will never happen, but if he does, like, this is going to be one of those songs where, like, as good as he is, he's going to be like, ain't playing it, guys. Can't do it.
I'll sit this one out.
Yeah. You got anything else from the Mangini era? So, yeah, but dude, phenomenal song. And I completely agree with you in saying that, I don't think it's that they put out like not the best song. I think it's just they've gotten into this tendency of putting out like the first song on the record. And as we got into on our episode about, album opening songs, those always tend to be not the strongest one on the record. So I'm completely in agreement with you that if this is one of the weakest songs, air quotes, we're in for a kick-ass album. So, all right, well, let's check in with our friends here real quick. Adam Rishog is here. Thanks, Adam, for checking out the show. A little bit of Cleveland love here. He says he did my fantasy draft today, and Baker is my QB, expecting big things. So, well, we could have.
Don't come at us if that doesn't work out.
Yeah. Baker's a great quarterback, but in fantasy, we run the ball a little bit more than we pass. So there's that.
Yeah. If you start 2 quarterbacks, or maybe it's a 12-team league, I don't know. As long as the rest of your team's good.
Yeah. So Jean-Philippe, what's up, man? Good to see you again.
Awesome.
And the Rock and Roll podcast, man. We got to get in touch about that Guns N' Roses episode. And I think Brian would jump on for that. I think I can speak for him if you would like a second co-host.
Awesome.
I was invited on the Rock and Roll podcast to discuss Use Your Illusion 1 versus Use Your Illusion 2. So I think maybe if you want to jump in there, I think they would not have a problem with that. So
Sure.
Yep. Oh, Adam Rishog. I got Nick Chubb too. Well,
Okay,
now
you're good
you're
now.
talking. Now you're talking. All right. So enough bullshitting. Enough bullshitting. All right. So let's get into tonight's topic, Brian. So we are doing our second Dream Theater album cage match, and tonight we are featuring Octavarium against the self-titled. Yeah. we need sound effects like clang, clang, like the bells.
Right.
So we got Octavarium versus the self-titled record. This is going to be interesting because you had texted me as I was driving home from work today, and you said, "Man, this is a lot closer than I thought." So, by the way, Brandon Charles, love this podcast. Thanks, man. That's very sweet of you. Thanks for checking in. Glad you enjoy the show, man. So yeah, you said that this was a lot harder for you than you thought it would be. Can you expound on that a little bit without giving away your choices?
Yeah, I think there's. I think I counted 3 where, man, it's a borderline coin flip. I counted like 1 where I wasn't totally thrilled with either. So
Okay.
And there's one totally obvious one. There's no point even, we won't go there yet. But it's not even.
Yeah.
That's not even up for debate. So we could probably just do,
Yeah.
7 songs. But yeah, it's tougher than I thought. Let's just put it that way. And there's a couple where it's like, I'd be fine if we go to a concert. I'd be fine hearing almost either one. Like they both have their strengths. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree. Our buddy Gibson Les Paul, what's up, man? He says, I have a bad feeling the self-titled record is going to get smashed. Well, we will see. That's why we are here. Yeah, I'm with you, Brian. Like anything that would be played from these records, I would be fine with. So, and anything that loses in these battles, that's not to say, oh, this song sucks. It's just we're cool with it, but the other one's better. I will say this though, we did cut one song out as per our usual rules. It has to be an even number of songs per record. So, since the self-titled record has 9 tracks and Octavarium has 8, we cut out the False Awakening suite from the beginning of the self-titled record. It's obviously an intro track. You and I have argued before about intro tracks and their value to these rankings.
It's the first song on the album. Let's just be clear there. But
right. Well, so we had to cut that one out. Well, we didn't have to, but I asked Brian. He was cool with it, so he acquiesced. So that having been said, why don't we get into this? Let's get right into song 1 versus song 1. We are doing The Enemy Inside versus The Root of All Evil. I will let you begin.
man, this is tougher than I thought because of the fact that we dropped the opening track. Made this one really tough. I already had Root of All Evil as one of my favorite openers.
Yeah.
But man, Enemy Inside, I love that song. It might be my second favorite on this album.
Okay.
This is like just barely. I mean, this is like the Olympics, the 100-meter sprint. I mean, the guy wins by like 1,000th of a second or something. Like,
Right.
I think these are both great. If you could start, well, we had this conversation before. Go ahead and start the album with Enemy Inside.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of False Awakening Suite. I don't think it has anything to do with the album. I don't even think it's an intro to the next song. I think it's just some separate kind of funky thing, for lack of a better word. But I'll take Root of All Evil just barely. I've always said I love the groove on this, the heaviness of it, and like when you're live, everyone's just like screaming it out. It's like an angry metal anthem, when you're getting to the chorus part. So those are all the parts I love about it being an opening track. So I'll stick with Root of All Evil.
Okay. I'll cut right to the point. I chose Root of All Evil too, but this was a very close one for me. I'm going to go back to this. Anytime we talk about the self-titled record, I'm going to bitch about the snare drum. That snare drum just drives me nuts. I think The Enemy Inside is a more interesting song, whereas, The Root of All Evil it's more concise and to the point. They're both great songs. Honestly, The Enemy Inside stands out a little more to me, but I chose The Root of All Evil, and maybe this is like an unfair way to judge it, but because I was at Score, stuff from the Octavarium record just resonates with me because it brings back those memories. I saw, the show in Cleveland like a week and a half before Score. It's like the second to last, date of the tour before, New York City. And then I was at Score and stuff like that. So for me, I chose The Root of All Evil. This one was very, very close for me. And I literally chose The Root of All Evil just based on, the emotional attachment that I have to that, that album and that era and stuff like that. So yeah, so we're in agreement there. It's 1-0 Octavarium.
And I do agree. Enemy Inside does have more interesting things going on. That's why this was really tough. It was just, but the problem is like, if I make these statements and then we have our draft and I pick these songs and then I pick the other song against them, I don't know how bad of a flip flop is that? I mean, no one really cares. I guess it's all subjective, but I feel like I have to somewhat stay semi-consistent, at something in my life at least.
I thought of the same thing, man. It's funny because the listeners, they're actually kind of torn. Our buddy Gibson, he says Enemy craps on Root of All Evil. Adam Rishog says no contest here for me. Love Root of All Evil. Of all singles in the last 10 years, Enemy is one of my least favorites. And Rex J. Cox says I have to go with Root of All Evil. So, we're, kind of torn there.
Yeah.
So there we go. All right. So going on to track 2, we are doing The Looking Glass versus The Answer Lies Within. This one was an obvious one for me. I chose The Looking Glass. The Looking Glass is one of 2 standout tracks on the self-titled record for me. It's great melodically. It's very upbeat. It's very catchy. I like how they kind of did a reverse thing. It's like, it's like a up tempo in the verses and stuff, and then they do like the halftime kind of slow chorus thing, like the clean stuff. Like that to me was really cool. It was like the opposite of how a song would normally be. So that's really interesting to me. And even for a band like Dream Theater, they haven't done that a ton. So I really like that. The main riff of The Looking Glass I think is one of Petrucci's best ones. I think you'll agree with this. It's very Rush-ish. I think most Dream Theater fans who are into Rush would agree with that. The Answer Lies Within is all right, but it's one of those short ballads of theirs that seems to be on like most of their records, and it's just kind of there, like nothing really happens. That said, I think there's that descending vocal before the string solo where you're gonna shine. Like I like how the one vocal says on shine and the other vocal comes down. Like to me, that's really cool. I mean, it's a simple technique, but it's really cool, especially over the vibe of the music and stuff. But this one was an obvious one for me. I chose The Looking Glass. What do you have?
Yeah, it's go back to my Olympic example. This is like Usain Bolt against I don't know, Roseanne Barr or something. I mean, this is not even close. Looking Glass just crushes that song. I think I had Answer Lies Within as maybe a Gateway song at one point. I should probably go back and listen to the Gateway episodes before I make these statements like this.
Both of us.
It's like I think I said something, but I don't know if I said it. But yeah, Looking Glass, I'll agree with you. Probably one of my maybe top 3 on this album. It's well documented. It's very the actual guitar, the tones and everything. It's very moving pictures ish. It sounds like a combo of Limelight and Red Barchetta or something. I don't know. But yeah, great song. I love the guitar tones on it. Great melody. It's a pretty straight. It does have those little changes and time changes and stuff, but it's still kind of a straightforward thing for them. There's not a lot of crazy stuff going on, but just the tone of the guitars I love. So yeah, Looking Glass all the way on this one. That Answer Lies Within. It's just, I don't know. Octavarium can get to be a little bit drone-ish, I think in certain parts, and this song does nothing to help the areas where it does that. Um,
Well, I
I,
think I don't know how you felt. Sorry to cut you off. But it's got those two ballads, and it's almost like, you know, a dramatic turn of events has those two ballads that are just kind of stuck in there.
yeah,
It's very, very, very similar to
yeah.
me in that respect. So, you know,
But yeah, like Looking Glass is just a happy, upbeat song, and Answer Lies Within, I don't know. It's just kind of a downer, I guess.
okay,
Even though
all
I
right.
guess it's supposed to be introspective. But
Dude, look, like Gibson Les Paul. Say it, Brian. Or he says brain.
oh,
Nice
nice.
spelling, Gibson. Say it, Brian. Octavarium is boring. I tell you what, we have come up with a date for our fan hangout. So Gibson, you are gonna have to give us your email address. You're gonna have to come on live and just give us the business, man. Like, so. All
I love
right.
that
So,
I got brained there. I always joke about that when I
yeah.
get my emails at work. I went to now, so on my Outlook at work now, when I'm on PTO, I just says brain PTO. So it
Right.
goes out to, I spell it wrong on purpose.
So, like tiny side story, but you'll appreciate this. So, I've mentioned how I sing in a cover band down in Lima. Well, the drummer's name is Brian. He runs the band basically. He has the trailer and everything, the practice spot. And one night, like I think it was like the second year I was in the band, and the guys were getting used to my sense of humor. I'm very dry and sarcastic and stuff. We wake up. We were doing a Friday and a Saturday. We wake up Saturday morning. We look out on the road. He lives in a rural area, like literally across the street from him is a cornfield. And I go out, get something out of my car, and I see like bright pink spray paint on the road, and it was a giant dick, and it had an arrow pointing to Brian's driveway, and it said Brian's dick, but it was spelled brain. Like they graffitied an actual rural road, but misspelled the name, and I was like, oh my god. So I was like, guys, you got to come out here and look at this. And they didn't quite know me yet, and they're like, John, this isn't funny. I'm like, I didn't do it. So
My spelling's much better than that.
well, I really said, I'm like, dude, at least you know me well enough to know that I could spell your name. Like, so, but yeah, so I've actually seen that like brain instead of Brian graffitied on a rural road in front of a giant bright pink phallus. So anyway, I think we've got a battle brewing, man. I think we have an opening match for our cage match. Adam Rishog says me and Gibson are going to go at it with a boxing glove.
Nice.
So there we go. So Gibson and Adam are our opening bout. So,
Sweet.
all right. Well, let's go to the next one. We have Enigma Machine versus These Walls. So we actually have an instrumental versus a song with vocals. So I will let you go first on this one. I think it's going to be obvious what you picked.
This one was tough for me. Actually, a lot
Really?
harder than you thought. Yeah, this might be my second favorite instrumental.
Really?
Next to Dance of Eternity. Yeah, the more I listen to it,
Wow.
I really dig this song. But no, I went with These Walls, and the reason is I love those power synth sounds he's got going, and especially like I think it's during the chorus or the main riff. There's those spiraling power synth keyboard moog type sounds, and I love any songs where you've got that sort of thing going as opposed to what's the obvious is the guitar. So whenever like a keyboard synth riff is driving a song, I'm on board. So yeah, I mean, These Walls, probably not as close as I'm making it out to be, but I do really like Enigma Machine. I have a better appreciation for that song in general, and instrumental wise, I think it might be in my top 2 or 3.
Awesome. Okay. Adam Rishog, not even close. Enigma Machine is their worst instrumental. These Walls is such a unique song in the Dream Theater catalog. Adam, I will disagree with your first point and agree with your second point. I can't think off the top of my head if there is a worst instrumental. I will say I love the Enigma Machine. I think it's completely underrated. For me, this really was a tough one. I mean, when Enigma Machine comes in, that is like it's just so heavy. This is one of 2 standout tracks on the record for me on the self-titled album. This is, sorry, Adam, but this is near the top of the list for me. the song just keeps going and going and going. It's got this creepy vibe to it. The drum part in the middle just lends itself to that live solo that Mangini did on Breaking the Fourth Wall. But I am going to agree with you and say that These Walls is one of the single most underrated Dream Theater songs there is. All the melodies are great. I agree with you, Brian. The keyboard actually drives it, which is a rare thing for a Dream Theater song. And there's also like piano parts, like clean piano parts, like the stuff he's doing behind the heavy guitar parts. It gives this really weird vibe to it that's really, really cool. The chorus is a big hook. The guitar solo has big hooks. And one of the things that has always stood out to me about this song is that it's a clinic on how to use the 7-string for melody instead of brutality. That said, I love Enigma Machine. I listen to it all the time. And I did go with These Walls only because These Walls has vocals. So there's a chorus there. But that's literally the only reason. If you had to make me just like, you got to listen to one or the other, I'd be like, well, shoot me because I'm listening to both.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I love the heavy groove of Enigma Machine. It feels like I don't know, a heavier Satriani or something, like just a little bit darker.
Yeah.
Trying to picture what more maybe something to compare it to, but yeah, I really do like the groove, and I'm fine without it having vocals. Like it doesn't seem like it needs it. I understand why you picked These Walls if it does have vocals, but
yeah,
I think Enigma Machine not having vocals, it's totally fine.
Yeah. Gibson Les Paul's calling you out. Oh, come on, brain. You think Enigma Machine is better than Erotomania?
Well, I've gone back and forth on my thoughts on that stuff.
Yeah, Gibson, go listen to our Awake Deep Dive. He appreciates it more, but that does not mean that he enjoys it. Yeah. All right. So next one, The Bigger Picture versus I Walk Beside You. So I'm gonna start. This is one of the easiest ones for me.
Yeah.
The Bigger Picture just never stood out to me. There's nothing that ever really grabbed me or is super memorable. It's
Wow.
It's a song. It's good, but it's just kind of there. I Walk Beside You to me is super underrated. As soon as I heard Octavarium, I loved this song, and it gets crapped on a ton by the fans because it's cheesy or it's poppy or it's this, but it's like I like that. And I think the reason is I was thinking about this literally just a few hours before we went on the air. I think it's kind of close to Status Seeker. It's the only song that really is kind of close to Status Seeker, and I'm a big fan of Status Seeker. It's that upbeat, quick, like 4 or 5 minute, yay, poppy kind of thing. It's got the upbeat message, If you want to consider the lyrics might be kind of cheesy and stock, like, yeah, that's cool, but I like it. I like it a lot. And admittedly, I do have an emotional connection to this song again from Score, but also my best friend Maria, she was like, is there any Dream Theater song I would like? And I gave her this one, and she's like, oh, my God, I love those lyrics. It's like you and me. And I'm like, well, shit, now I really like it. So I kind of have a double hook on that one. But, yeah, I mean, I think mostly other than that, it's just that, The Bigger Picture just never did anything for me. So you obviously disagree because you made a noise, so I'll let you.
Well, full disclosure, it's like 125 degrees in John's man cave right now where he brought stuff. So the heat has done something to his brain. You are absolutely out of your mind on this one.
Wow. Okay.
I have nothing against the song, but man, Bigger Picture. Oh, I love the strings. I love the piano. I love it towards the end there. Did you just take yourself out?
No, I soloed you. Just keep talking. We're in the middle of the show, Brian. Be professional.
This says the guy who told a story about a pink phallus being painted. No, but like the ending piano, and then there's kind of an 80s riffing guitar thing going. I love the vocals on this song. And it's funny because I think that one of the first episodes we did, somebody brought up this song, and I was like, I had no idea what they're talking about because I had totally ignored basically the second half of this album or half this album.
Right.
And so I went back and listened to it, and I'm like, man, this is a great song. I really do love this song. I don't think there's any comparison. I mean, I understand why people like the simplicity of these walk beside you, but I don't think this is close. And you definitely shocked me on that one. I didn't see that coming from a mile away.
Really?
No.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. That, dude. Honestly, "Walk Beside You" is like one of my guilty pleasure Dream Theater songs. Kind of like I think you could lump that in with like "Space Dive Vest."
Yeah.
You know, as a song that like not a lot of people like, but I'm just a huge fan of. So
Well, I think it was earlier, Rex J. Cox, we missed it, but he brought up, we did mention it as one of our gateway songs.
yeah, he said "Walk Beside You" is very catchy
Right.
and one of my go-to songs. I will put that song in the category of getting people into Dream Theater. Yeah.
Yep.
Rex, if you hadn't heard it, we did an episode of Gateway Dream Theater songs, like if you had to get somebody into the band without scaring them. And I think this one was on there, and if it wasn't, it definitely belonged. So good call there. All right, next we are going to Behind the Veil against Panic Attack. So Behind the Veil, to me, it's cool because it's like one of those really simple, direct, I hate using this term, but easy, air quotes again, Petrucci metal riffs. It's like, you know, and the chorus is by far one of the highlights of the self-titled record for me. It's super catchy. It's a big chorus. I love that about this song. It's apparently I have a typo on my notes, Brian. It says "Behind the Veil" is definitely one of the songs on this record. So hey, guess what? I don't know if you know this or not, but "Behind the Veil" is on the self-titled record.
This is the kind of insight you can only get on Talking Into Infinity.
This is what I get for taking notes while I'm supposed to be working. But okay, I meant standout songs. This is one of the better songs on the record for me. But when you put it up against Panic Attack just rules. You know, it's like it's the perfect title for a song like this. You know, the music has that nervous energy, and you know the middle part, like that quick vibrato we'd never heard before, like "helpless hysteria." Like you never heard Labrie do that like fluttery kind of vibrato, and it kind of adds to that nervous energy. Like, and the song never stops. It's just you know, one of those songs they don't have that breakdown. It's just like it just goes and goes and goes and goes, and it's super busy. Like the keys are busy, the guitars are busy, the bass is busy, and you know, Behind the Veil's really good. But I mean, if it was up against almost any other song, I'd be like, ooh, this is gonna be tough. But Panic Attack, I got to go with Panic Attack.
Well, I told you a story before about my 12-year-old nephew who was like, "Hey, Uncle B, what's your favorite Dream Theater song?" "Mine's Panic Attack."
Nice.
Can you play that one? So we played that one when we were in the car cruising to go swimming or wherever we were going. But
very cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you on this. This is it's a lot closer than you would think, but because it's Panic Attack, it's pretty hard to not pick that. But you nailed Behind the Veil perfectly, man. The chorus, it's got those spiraling guitar harmonies on there. I just absolutely love. Like it's like this ginormous ear candy. I love the metal riff. The metal riff he plays. It's almost like a Priest, Scorpions, Halloween. You know, it's kind of got a European metal vibe to it, old school. I love that riff. But Behind the Veil is probably a super majorly underrated song now that you kind of listen to it. But you also brought up a point. This to me is, I know it comes out right away, but on this song more than any, man, those drum sounds, it's just like, God, it's such a cool riff, but the sounds just, man, they just kill it. It's like, it sounds like a bunch of kids or something like recorded an album, you know, when the drums come in on this. And it's real unfortunate because it is a killer song, and maybe they can bust it out and put it in some live sets or something, you know, so we can hear it with like real drums. But yeah, when you talk about trying to go against Panic Attack, I love the big accents, you know, with the keyboard and the choir, you know, the you know, that soaring type of thing, you know, like, you know, you get chills when you hear that stuff. So I got to agree with you, and I'll go with Panic Attack on this one, but it is closer than I thought.
Yep. Well, Brandon Charles, thank you for listening. We appreciate it because he mentions a previous episode. He says, Panic Attack, the best reason I pick it, as a comment made in a previous podcast, it's the one song that when you see it and you hear it, you know exactly what you are getting. That's a good way to describe it. It's like, yeah, well, here it comes, and it's just going to go. Our buddy Kale McLeish, what's up, man? All the way from Australia. Early in the morning, 8 o'clock. Veil is really, really good, but it has to be Panic Attack. Yeah, I think, again, this was a tough one, Brian, because, again, like I can think of a whole bunch of other songs that Behind the Veil would just blow out of the water.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it lands right up against Panic Attack. So, even on songs, coming up, like, for example, let's go to the next one. Surrender to Reason versus Never Enough. Let's do a sidebar here. I mean, would you take Behind the Veil or Never Enough? I would take Behind the Veil.
I'd take Behind the Veil. No question.
Okay. Well, there you go. I mean, perfect example. If it one song later in the list, and it would have won. So, okay. So Surrender to Reason versus Never Enough. You are up. So what are your thoughts? Or
I got to plug my battery in. Give your thoughts real quick.
all right. So you're plugging your battery in. Okay.
Yeah.
It's your hearing aid. Sorry, that was an age joke.
What?
What do you say? All right. So Surrender to Reason versus Never Enough. To me, Surrender to Reason is kind of disjointed. I mean, within the first 3 minutes of the song, you've had 3 different things happen. And I'm like, okay, I think this is a very good example. Like, they were going for on this album, well, let's take the big, long Dream Theater songwriting, technique, but let's see if we can, kind of smush it down to like 6 minutes, 5 minutes. And this one, I just don't think it worked. It was like, okay, well, now it's, 3 different rhythms or whatever. And that having been said, the solos in Surrender to Reason are awesome. I don't think people mention the solos in this song nearly enough. They're phenomenal. I mean, the solos are great, but man, I hate to come back to a point I made about an earlier song, but the song's just kind of there for me. So, in terms of Never Enough, it's definitely one of the weaker tunes on Octavarium for me. Again, nothing really stands out, but it is a little more memorable than, Surrender to Reason, and I think it's because of the lyrical content. I've always loved the fact that it's Portnoy just bitching at the fans, and a lot of the fans don't understand that they're being chewed out by Mike Portnoy. I've heard fans be like, "Man, I love Never Enough," and I'm like, he's bitching at you, right? Like, yeah. And also, I think one of the reasons is, the second verse, Portnoy, the hi-hat groove, like he does this, he does it on a few songs, but anytime he goes into that, I absolutely love it. It's like super busy, but it's got this great rhythm over like more simplistic guitar and like key patterns, and I just love that. So this song has that, and it also has some really cool effects on each instrument in the solo section. This one, like, sonically is very different in a lot of parts, so I kind of dig that too. So I mean, I guess my earlier point doesn't really hold up, but there's not really anything memorable, so I kind of contradicted myself. But I mean, it's not great. I would have to say it's one of the 2 or 3 weakest songs on Octavarium, but I would definitely take it over Surrender to Reason. So
yeah, I'm not a big fan of either of these. I said there was one point where I was just kind of like, I don't even know which one to pick. So Surrender to Reason has that, it's the, like you said, it's disjointed. The beginning is basically Permanent Waves, Rush era, the guitars and stuff that they're doing there. But then, like you said, it goes into like 6 other different things. It's just a weird song. Never Enough, it goes into, they kind of get into that Queen Muse type of thing. There's a couple times where he kind of goes into that Muse sort of voice. And I'm just not a huge fan of it. I'll go ahead and take Never Enough on this one, but I'm just kind of like, okay, both of them get like if I'm given a grade, these are both like, probably barely a C plus and then maybe a C minus to Surrender to Reason. So yeah, I'm just not yeah.
All right. Well, our buddy Adam Rishog, Surrender to Reason for this one. For some reason, anything with Mayung just tickles my fancy. Compelling argument. John Mayung does not write very many lyrics, so that's a good point. Gibson Les Paul, Never Enough is very good, but Surrender is one of my favorite underrated Dream Theater songs. I'm telling you, Gibson. Okay, Brian, we have got to get him on because he disagrees with both of us on so many things. He's like the perfect like third host for a very cool episode.
I don't need another person that's wrong all the time. I've already got you.
Oh man.
It is
Look at
funny though,
this.
because like, I mean, do you ever hear like, okay, I have never met anyone ever that talks about either of these songs, especially Surrender to Reason. I've never seen
Yeah.
anything like, I've never heard a soul go, oh, Surrender to Reason. Like, it's just, and I'm not saying that it's bad. I'm just saying it's just, you literally just don't hear some of these songs ever be talked about, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I think that speaks to the fact that, as I said, like, on a couple of these, like, there's nothing that really stands out. There's nothing that kind of just, oh my God, I remember this part, or I remember this part. It's like you and I bring things up because we have to go back and listen to them and go, oh yeah, I forgot about that, or oh, this was kind of cool. But it's not like stuff like other episodes where we'll be like, oh, the guitar solo in the test that stumped them all, or things like that just immediately just come to mind. Um, all right. So literally, okay, if we're gonna do this like chat thing, we really do have like another battle going on. Adam Rishog is calling Gibson out. Gibson Les Paul has to be a bot. I don't believe they're real. He used a plural against Gibson Les Paul. Look at that. All right, we've got a fan battle going on. Adam Rishog versus Gibson Les Paul.
Yeah, when we do our show too with all the fans, we want you to give us your name and then your pronoun, obviously, and then where you're from. So, because I don't want anyone to get mad,
We are not getting into that. We are not even getting into that.
Okay.
We will dive into all things Dream Theater, but no things pronoun.
Okay. No political talk here.
Yes. All right. So back on Rock and Roll Podcast. Fight, fight, fight. Oh my God, this is awesome. I love our show. All right, so moving on, we've got two more to go. Along for the Ride versus Sacrificed Sons. I will let you begin.
Along for the Ride. Man, what a killer acoustic guitar beginning.
Yep.
Absolutely beautiful chorus. Goes into that bridge where he kind of gets a little bit of chunky picking going behind it.
Yep.
I mean, just I was actually wrong before. It wasn't the Bigger Picture. This is the song that someone mentioned that I had not heard before. Went and listened to it a bunch since then. But yeah, I love this song. This isn't Sacrifice Sons to me is an 11-minute overblown, diatribe about I guess war or whatever.
It's about 9/11 directly.
Yeah, it's about exactly. Yeah. So it's like, I don't know. It's 10 minutes of just pompous, overblown. I don't need it. It to me, it doesn't stand a prayer against a song like this.
Yeah. I have to bring up Gibson Les Paul. He says, "Along for the win" is more like it.
Nice. We like
Gibson,
puns here.
Oh my God, I love you, Gibson. You're hilarious, man. Yeah, dude, I have to admit that I agree with you. Along for the Ride might be the best song on the album. And I really like Sacrifice Sons. I'm a big nut for 9/11 history and stuff like that. It's like the biggest historical event that I've lived through. So I have DVDs and all this stuff, and it's like, I was at Ground Zero, a year and a half after it happened, and things I saw and experienced just really hit home. So it's that a personal experience, but for me, just going on a song level. Along for the Ride is like you said, it's pretty much perfect. It's weird because, okay, now follow me here, okay? There's nothing about it that really stands out, but it's just perfect and solid all the way through. All the melodies are perfect. Like, the instrumentation is perfect. Like, you can't just go, oh, remember that one part? Or remember that one part? No, you just go, along for the ride, dude. Along for the ride. Like, it's just such a phenomenal song. The playing fits the vibe of the song. It fits the emotion of the song. It's, whereas Sacrifice Sons, it is one of the better songs on Octavarium. The solo section's really cool. But again, nothing crazy memorable. I mean, it's a cool song, but I mean, the one thing that I guess would stand out a little is that chug part at the end. So, I mean, the guitar is kind of getting heavy, but I mean, this was close, but not really. I mean, Along for the Ride's fantastic. So
I'm not a fan of the melody Sacrifice Sons either. I don't know. I think it's kind of weak. Yeah. But I mean, what kind of melody do you come up with when you're writing a song about something that's powerful and that touched so many people? So I don't know. I just
Well,
think I just think kind of like you were saying with some of the stuff like Behind the Veil, One Against Panic Attack. You're putting this against Along for the Ride. It doesn't stand a prayer, you know.
right. Yeah. I mean, and I think to your point though, like, what do you write about when it affects so many people? Like, I think for them, I mean, don't forget, like, all of them are from,
Oh
well,
yeah,
I mean, from New York, except for Labrie, he's from Canada. But I mean, that is, it'd be like, something happening here in Ohio to us. It'd be like, that would be like, oh my God, like that's our song. So,
well, they
you
literally
know,
had the thing with the album cover before 9/11 happened, right? With the Twin Towers falling. Like, I mean, like
yeah,
how crazy is all that stuff, you know? Like,
right. Yeah. So look at this. Look at Kale, our buddy Kale McLeish. I actually really don't care for Along the Ride. It's one of the two from Dream Theater that turns me off, other being The Looking Glass. Where is that block from the chat button again? Like, I'm going to be honest with you, Kale. I love you. You were a guest host on an episode, which if you guys have not seen, go check it out. Kale, that is the worst take you've ever had on our show.
wait,
Like,
I want
two
to.
of the.
What does
That's
this
crazy.
mean here when he said "Sacrifice Sons" has a riff from Teddy Bear's Picnic? Is
Yeah.
that an Austrian thing?
Uh, really? We're going to do that again. There we go with the jokes.
What?
Oh, my God. He says, Sacrifice Sons literally for no other reason than that Teddy Bear's Picnic riff.
I mean, what is Teddy Bear's Picnic? Is that something that?
Kale, are you referencing a cartoon show that's only available in Australia? Is that where this is coming from?
Well, he moved to Australia. When did this happen?
Brian, you are such an ass.
No,
I
I'm just
love you,
messing
man.
with you, Kale. No, legit, we have
Oh.
no idea what that is. Is that like a Winnie the Pooh or
Yeah.
something? Or
Well, all right, let's see. Since we're getting into the last song, Brandon Charles says Sacrifice Sons and the song Octavarium have a lot in common in the way they build and develop, and it gets louder as the songs go on. My favorite part of both is the John Petrucci guitar crescendo at the end. It's the most epic example of John Petrucci's brilliance. All right. I mean, I would go along with that on Octavarium. Look at you with papers. Like, now we got papers. A lot of notes. we have I don't know, only maybe it's because we have 44 minutes of music to discuss in the next.
yeah,
I would disagree with you, Brandon. I would say that there are other epic examples of Petrucci's brilliance. We talked about on our Black Clouds episode. I think the Best of Times. While it's not the greatest Dream Theater song, I think that crescendo at the end is absolutely pretty much perfection. I'll give you Octavarium, but I think Sacrifice Sons does not chart against those. So
I'm fine with him loving the end and stuff. My problem is I don't want this 10-minute song when I'm gonna have to. You've got 23 minutes of Octavarium coming. Like I don't know. It's just. I think it's a horrible placement to put this song right where it is on the album, personally.
Okay. All right. Well, you know what? Why don't we get into it then? I'll be surprised if we disagree on this one. I'll be surprised if you say that this is one of the ones that was difficult for you. I might boot you from the feed if you say this was a close call for you. So it's my turn to go first. We have Illumination Theory versus Octavarium. My first note. This is no contest. Illumination Theory is the worst of the long songs. Illumination Theory has me nervous for the title track of the new record. I'm going to flat say it. A View from the Top of the World, the title track, 20 minutes long. Illumination Theory is a fan favorite for a lot of people. I may get crapped on for this. I did not care for this song when it came out. I've tried to re-listen to it multiple times since then, and nothing has changed my mind. I interviewed John Petrucci for the Breaking the Fourth Wall record, and at the end of the interview on the station I was on, they always let the artist pick a song, like pick any song you want to play from your catalog, and he wanted to play Illumination Theory, and I was like, damn. So it's not. You've got to change the seasons. You've got Octavarium, as we'll talk about. You've got, Count of Tuscany, even getting into things that are close, like, A Nightmare to Remember, The Glass Prison. Illumination Theory absolutely is just, it feels forced to me. It's it feels like we have all these parts. How do we fit them together? Just stick them together. There's no flow. There's just nothing to it that it's like it goes here. Oh, now you're here. Oh, now we're there. Now we're here. And as I think it has this Count of Tuscany thing in the middle where it's like just these like sound effects, like kind of like you're in the rainforest, but it's like, I don't get it. Whereas like Count of Tuscany breaks down to something like that, but it has this beautiful melodic thing that kind of anchors to what you've heard before. And it's not just sound effects. So And also the first verse, I'm not really a fan of the vocal rhythms at all. We're going to do an episode coming up, James's best vocal performances. This is not James's fault per se, but this first verse, like, what are you living to die for? Like, just the way it kind of like crams in against that rhythm. I don't like it. I've never liked it. To give a positive, though, there's a lot of good riffage in this song. A lot of good riffage in Illumination Theory. And the one thing I will say, I don't want to give anything away, but coming out of the middle part, James Labrie's vocals are absolutely kick-ass. It kind of harkens back to Awake to me in a lot of ways. So I thought that was awesome. Those high screaming parts are fantastic. Octavarium, Brian, I'm sure you're going to get into it because you love Octavarium. I do too. Octavarium's just amazing. It's the weirdest thing because we talk about songs that feel like, oh man, it's this long, but it feels like it's this long. And this is a perfect example. It's 3 minutes and 50 seconds before anything comes in but, the continuum and keys. It's literally 24 minutes on the nose as a track, and the full band, real Dream Theater, like progressive stuff doesn't come in until, literally halfway through the song, like 12 minutes. I was watching the timer as I was driving home from work today, listening to the song, and it's almost like two different songs, but it keeps your interest. And it just, and especially like the last third of the song is just prototypical Dream Theater progressive greatness. And I think Octavarium stands as one of the very best songs they have ever done against one of the most disappointing songs they've ever done. So this one was an absolute blowout for me. Octavarium over Illumination Theory. Sorry to, filibuster there, Brian, but it is your turn. So,
Well, Gibson Les Paul, he says he used to hate the middle. Now, I actually agree. I do love the middle section of this song.
Okay. Yeah.
Obviously, I'm not going to pick this song, but I think there's parts of this. The parts of this are better than the whole of it. Let's just put it that way.
Okay.
There's enough.
Let's mention. Sorry to cut you off. Let's mention
Sure.
his comment because this Illumination Theory is damn near perfect. I used to hate the middle section. Then I saw the orchestra play that part on Breaking the Fourth Wall. I get it now. As much love as Octavarium gets, I don't like it. See, I'm going to disagree with you. If you have to see it, well, no, okay. I wouldn't say if you have to see it live to get it. It doesn't like that's a bullcrap comment. I saw it live too, and it is beautiful. It's incredible live to see that. But to me, that doesn't make it a good song. It doesn't make it great. It's a cool part, but again, sorry to cut you off, Brian, but it's like I'm very, very emotional about this part. I'm very, very passionate about this part. It's this song. These two songs pitted against each other were so easy for me. Like Illumination Theory, I was so excited, and I was just like, oh, damn. It's the first time one of the long songs let me down. So.
Yeah, this is a no-brainer. It's Illumination Theory. No, I'm just kidding. No, Octavarium is. I can understand why there's a little bit of pushback on it. It can get a little bit long-winded at 24 minutes. I love the melody that keeps coming back. The da na na na. It's a beautiful melody.
Yeah.
And even though it keeps coming back in different forms, it's still killer. Like you said, it takes 4 minutes to get going, so something like that's probably maybe little bit better live than when you're listening to it and you're like, just come on, let's get moving here. but like the synths, and I brought this up before, man, some of the power synth solos, it's very Styx, Pieces of Eight, Dennis the Youngish stuff he's playing. I love some of those awesome Moog type sounds Jordan plays on those solos whenever he just kind of busts those out here and there. It just sounds perfect in the song.
Yep.
And this is another one of those, Illumination Theory is not going to win against MIDI. It's not going to have much of a chance against this for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, pretty much a no-brainer for me. But I can understand that people maybe just don't fall all over themselves for this song sometimes. It can get a little bit long-winded, I think, at 24 minutes. It's weird. Sometimes I hear the song and I'm like, I don't feel like it's 24 minutes, and there's other times, just because it's just kind of a long, sort of moody drone, nothing ever gets, and maybe that's why people are sort of, there is kind of a 50-50 on it at some point, but great song nonetheless. The musicianship is always in it. It's incredible. And, it's just a cool undertaking to do something like that. Hey, we have an idea, we're going to do this. And they just do it. And it sounds great. So,
well, I mean, and to your point, they that middle section, they use nothing but, song titles as the lyrics, which is really cool. And they admitted that they tried to pull in influences from all these, Genesis and, Gentle Giant, all these different places to write the music. So it's kind of like an homage to all of these different influences that they had, and to just incorporate it into one song, like musically and lyrically and stuff like that. I mean, it's a fascinating song. And I will say, I mean, to your point, like, sometimes like you're listening to it doesn't feel like 24 minutes, and sometimes it does. I think one of the things that really stands out about this song is that the different sections get lengthy, like 4 minutes at a time, 5 minutes at a time, whatever, but they flow together so well that by the time you're in a new section, it's like it's so interesting, but it blends so well. You're like, oh yeah, cool. Whereas like I think that's the biggest difference between Illumination Theory and Octavarium, is that Illumination Theory, when you get to another part, you're like, it's like part like it hits you and you're like, what the hell was that? Whereas Octavarium kind of goes into this other part, you're like, yeah, cool, like it flows. It's like there's a blend, whereas I don't think Illumination Theory kind of had that. So
no, I totally agree. Illumination Theory is disjointed. I think this is the one song that they use the term prog rock, and like you said, they admittedly wanted to bring all their influences. This is quintessential 70s, borderline early 80s prog rock. That's what this is. I mean, this is an ode to that. It sounds exactly like that's what they were going for, and it works fine. But when you use the term prog rock, to describe this band with a lot of stuff they do, I don't know that that's necessarily true. But for this song, it nails like that 70s theatrical, atmospheric, like Brandon Charles said, perfect song for headphones and surround sound.
Right.
If you have the right speaker. So it's like a Pink Floyd, Genesis, Styx, just a journey type of a thing. And it has that feel to it. And they nailed this on the head for what they were trying to do.
All right. Dude, so, all right, I want you to kind of expound on that. I'm going to solo you, and I want you to kind of expound on that. Like, I'm going to back off and let you talk about it, because I think you have a really interesting insight into the influences that, created Octavarium. So I kind of want you to go off on this. I'm gonna give you the camera, and
is it that hot?
I'm actually gonna shut up for about 2 minutes here and let you kind of go off here. So
well, don't go for 2 minutes. I don't have that much to say about it.
Well, of course you do. All right, all right. The floor is yours, man.
Oh, God.
We don't usually get into like something this musically detailed, and you're much more educated than I am. So I think this is interesting. So,
oh God.
So here, all right, it's all you, man.
All right.
Lay your musical knowledge on us.
I don't. Well, like the whole so the whole 3-minute intro, that's extremely Pink Floyd-ish, right? I mean that's right out of Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon type of thing. Let's get all these little sounds going. Let's create this big giant atmosphere. Let's do that. And then the guitar sounds they're very the various guitar sounds are very David Gilmour, Roger Waters-ish. Like I said before, those synth parts, those are patented, Moog prophet type sounds. It's a fat synthesizer, but they're playing all those really cool solos, like Angry Young Man. They do that on sticks. Those parts are all over the place. Those type of sounds are in there. There's definitely there's elements of Kansas also, the piano stuff. I don't know what else you want me to say about it for 2 minutes. I think he's hot and he wants to go fix his air conditioner. He went to go get some water. Yes, the last few minutes actually remind me of The Wall by Kansas. That is a very good point. The Wall is a absolutely underrated, super awesome song, Kansas. Sidebar, I actually played a show at basically like a state fair. It was an all cover band. Kansas was playing on another stage at the same time we were. We were playing like 4 to 6 or something, and their show started at 5 or whatever. So I'm up on stage running around trying to sing Man in the Box or whatever with my wireless mic. He's not come back, is he? You're right, Cale. So I'm running around with my wireless microphone, and this big giant dude comes up to the stage and points at me and goes, "You, right there." And I'm like, "Me?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Turn your wireless off," or whatever. So apparently my vocals were coming in through Steve Walsh's wireless headset or whatever he had going on. So I could just imagine my horrible attempt at singing Man in the Box coming through Steve Walsh while he's trying to sing The Wall or Carry On My Wayward Son or something. I can't even imagine how horrible that must have sounded.
Well, or maybe it sounded better. And
No. The coolest thing about Steve Walsh is, I don't know if you ever saw Kansas play live. So he did this thing where he was a lead singer, but he also played keyboards. He had this keyboard that he would literally do like a handstand, like his feet are completely up in the air and he's like playing like this, and he's like completely parallel to like perpendicular to the ground. It was awesome.
Right. Well, so hey, Cale, I'm back. Thank you. I wasn't gone. I just thought Brian had some incredible musical insight that I don't have. So
that'll be the last time you make that mistake.
Sorry to bring some musical knowledge to the show. My bad. All right, so I guess at this point we have to give our final tally. Would you like to go? What is your score in the cage match between Octavarium and Dream Theater? There are 8 songs. What is your final score?
I think I had 3. 3 for Dream Theater. The problem was Never Enough and Surrender to Reason. Man, that was tough. I don't know where I stand on that. So 3.5, I guess.
Okay.
To 4.5.
Mine was Octavarium 6 and Dream Theater 2. The only 2 that I had for Dream Theater was The Looking Glass and Along for the Ride.
Yeah, I had those 2, and then I also had Bigger Picture.
Okay.
Oh no, wait. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, this was what so behind the scenes kind of thing here. When we do the album cage matches, we've done 2 of them. I literally I pull up a random number generator online between 1 and 14, and I do it twice. I'm like, okay, it's album 4 versus album 11, whatever. So, and when this one came up, I was like, oh boy. Like, to me, it wasn't. I couldn't believe it because while Octavarium isn't like way at the top of my list, I'm always fascinated by Octavarium because they said and we don't want to give away any of our stuff for deep dives on these 2 records, but they had said that like after Train of Thought, like everyone was like, oh man, we're missing all like the light moments, the prog moments of Dream Theater. And so they kind of went the opposite direction from Train of Thought and said, okay, well, we're going to do a classic progressive record. And I think that's what, Octavarium is. And, with Dream Theater, the album, not the band, they said, well, we're going to take our big, long songwriting and try and condense it down into like 5-6 minutes maybe. And I think one of the concepts hit, the other one didn't really. So this was kind of this was a little bit easier for me, whereas you told me on the way home, you're like, man, this is harder than I thought. So I'd be interested to know why this was harder than you thought it would be.
Well, it could have been. I think it could have been. I could have almost been a tie because Enigma Machine versus These Walls was a lot tougher than I thought.
I'll give you that one, yeah.
And Panic Attack, Behind the Veil, like you said, well, if Behind the Veil went up against anything else, it probably is going to win.
Yeah.
But that was still two really good songs. I just think, Octavarium, the song itself, that's just such a giant, feather in the cap for the album itself that, the album is going to ultimately probably overtake that one,
Yeah.
you would assume based on the math we just did, so
Yeah.
when we go to rank them, it would be pretty dumb if we have the other one higher, but
Right.
but I don't know, it's going to be interesting when we finally do a show where we rank all the albums, which I guess we're going to try to hold off on that as long as possible.
Yeah.
But like, where am I going to put these two albums? I don't know, I'm not sure, I really don't know where these are going to end up.
Yep. I mean, I won't comment on that because, again, I'll be giving things away, but I kind of know where each of these records ranks for me. But it is difficult. I was thinking about that. I'm like, like where do you put the? And I started thinking of all the other records, and I started thinking about ranking them, and it's kind of like to me, like Dream Theater is like, to me they're like Van Halen and Star Wars, which go figure, my other two favorite things. It's like even your least favorite is still like really, really, really good. So it's to say, well, this is my least favorite one doesn't mean that it sucks or it's a piece of crap. It's just like I like it a lot, but I like the other ones more because I like all of it. So I think some of the songs on both of these records kind of fall in that category. Kind of forgettable, but still you're like, if they come on, you're like, yeah, you're not gonna turn it off. So, yeah, I definitely agree with you there. Our buddy Gibson Les Paul, by the way, he battles me. I had a 6-2 win for Octavarium. He has a 6-2 win for the self-titled album. Gibson, I'm telling you,
nice.
I'm actually, you know what? I'm going on record with Adam Rishog, and I'm going to speak for you, Adam. This is going to be like a wrestling promo. Pardon my language here in a second. But Gibson, when we do our big giant fan hangout on December 30th, that's right, you all heard it, December 30th. When we do our big giant fan hangout, if you don't jump on here with us, you're a pussy. Like, you've got to jump on because you have all these like opinions that are either way opposite of me or way opposite of Brian. So you have got to jump on with us, man, because you have some very interesting opinions. And I will say, I definitely respect your opinions because you're very forceful about them, but very respectful about them. So I think that's awesome.
Oh God, I don't. Well, I don't respect your opinions either. So no, I'm just kidding. No, right. I mean that's the reason we do this show. Like we've talked a million times. Like if we do this show and then everyone goes, "Yeah, you guys are," I totally agree. Then we probably miss the point of this band, because the point of this band is like, 10 people hear 5 songs, or 10 songs, and half of them love these and half of them love the others, and that's why you love this band so much. That's why we made a podcast about it.
Right? Yeah, I completely agree. It's weird because like to tune into our podcast, like I've always told people, like when people are like, oh, I don't know who Dream Theater is your second favorite band, like who's Dream Theater? I'm like, okay. They're a progressive metal band. What's progressive metal? I said, okay, it's like, imagine Metallica, but if they went like all the time. I said, and it's real simple. Either you love them or you hate them. There's no middle. Like, yeah, I'm kind of into them. And so I think what's cool about our podcast is like everybody in here obviously loves them, but we're in this little like subset of the fan community that's like, no, this is better. Like, like Gibson. Right. No, the self-titled record has 6 songs that are good, as opposed to me going, no, Octavarium has 6 better songs. Like, and it's cool, and I agree with you. Like that's the cool thing about our podcast is that people come in and hang out with us, and it's why we always promote like every single thing we post is like, come into the chat, like hang out with us, like, because it's fun. It's like I think I definitely appreciate your input. That's why I soloed you for like 2-3 minutes, like to talk about, Octavarium and the various like 70s, prog influences that are on Octavarium. Cause you're much more classically trained than I am. Like your musical tastes are much more broad than mine by far, but we both love the band, and it provides an interesting conversation. And I think, the people that watch and listen to us provide an awesome, third host it's like there's this other kind of thing. People have brought up all these different points tonight, and every show they bring up these different points. So I think that's why we always promote, like, hey, come on in the chat, dude, because it's like this is your show too. Not to be cheesy about it, but it really is, Brian. It's like it's our show, but it's theirs as well. Like, this is a cool place for Dream Theater fans to hang out. So, So final thoughts: Octavarium versus Dream Theater. I'll let you go first.
Closer than I thought, but no surprise Octavarium won. No surprise that you I figured you would get 2 at the most, if maybe possibly 3. I think you Panic Attack, you might have you would have had Behind the Veil, but it went up against Panic Attack, like you said.
Yeah.
That would have given you 3.
Yes.
And like myself, that was hard to, that would have put me at 4 even. So I think they're 2 totally different albums. They both have, like you said, they both have some really huge bright spots, but these are 2 that have some pretty down spots as far as stuff that that I really love from the band. And between these 2 albums combined, I bet there's maybe 4 or 5 songs that I just really not super high on, which is weird, but that's just how my tastes are.
Nope. I think for me, again, I don't want to give away deep dive stuff, because I'm really on one side or the other for one of these albums. This was closer than I thought it would have been for me. And it was interesting to go back and listen to both albums, because I really thought one would be much, much bigger in my conscience, much bigger in my preference, and it didn't turn out that way. So I think kind of like the Awake episode where you're like, yeah, I kind of have a new appreciation for it. Like I kind of got that too. And it was fun. And there were certain songs where I was like, when I saw what was going up against what, I was like, oh, that's a landslide. And then when I listened back to them, because I made a playlist in my phone of each song. Like, I literally went in order so I could listen to them, song one, song two. And I was like, oh, this is a blowout. But then I'd listen to the second song and be like, wait a minute, maybe not. So yeah. I think I kind of had that, come to Jesus moment that you had with Awake, where you will still say, oh, this record is not my favorite, and make jokes about it as we go on, but you have more appreciation for it and like, yeah, that's better than I remember. So I think I had that when we did this one. That being said, I'm still waiting for the random number generator to come up with 2 records that are pretty much impossible to compare. So that having been said, I want to ask you, can we create an album cage match? I think I have a good idea because of the number of tracks. I think an awesome album cage match would be 6 Degrees versus Scenes from a Memory. What do you think? Can we create our own cage match? Can we be Dana White of the UFC and just put a dream match together?
Oh man, that's going to be impossible. I'd love to do that. I mean, but oh my gosh, I don't even know how we're gonna pick on those. That's gonna be tough.
Yeah, I think that's a great one. I really think that is a great one to do. So, should we do it? Should we say that?
Let's do it.
All right. Our next album cage match is going to be 6 Degrees versus Scenes from a Memory. So there you go.
It's going to be impossible.
Yep. So Brandon Charles with a very cool comment. Thank you, man. He says, I don't get much of a chance to talk music, let alone my favorite band, with people. So this is why I love this podcast. Dude, thank you very much. Dude, honestly, like we literally, when we started this, it was like the StreamYard platform that we use allows people to come in and talk with us, and that's why we wanted to do that. Like, we don't want to just have us just pontificating. Like, it's awesome that you guys jump in. So, appreciate you, like, checking the show out. So, all right, Brian. So why don't we give some teasers for future stuff coming up? We'll get out of here pretty soon. We want to thank everyone for checking out the show again. Kale and Adam, thanks for hanging out. Gibson Les Paul, obviously, Brandon Charles, thanks for hanging out. Rock and Roll Podcast. Again, we will get together, and Brian and I are both coming on to do an episode about Use Your Illusion 1 and 2. So we'll do that. Brian, I think we can officially announce, we came up with the date today. We want to do that huge fan hangout where we want to get as many people as possible together. and we're all going to get online and basically just like as long as the show, if it's like 2 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours, whatever, we're all going to have drinks. We're all going to hang out. We're just going to bullshit music, Dream Theater, whatever. It's going to be officially on Thursday, December 30th. So the night before New Year's Eve, we're going to kind of have like a pre-New Year's Eve, and we're all going to get together. And the whole point of the show is to have all you guys, and whatever topic we get on, we'll start on Dream Theater, but we'll just have a music conversation. And anybody who wants to get on camera with us, we'll have you guys send us your email address. We'll send you the link, and you guys jump on camera with us. So we want you guys to like not just be a part of the chat. We want you guys to be a part of the show. So we're gonna do that on December 30th. I don't know about you, Brian. I'm super excited for that.
Yeah, it should be pumped. And that's going to be Kale's. That'll be the Australian New Year's Eve for him, I guess, technically, he says.
Really?
So he's going to be ready to party.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you actually hang out for that one? Or are you going to be like partying for actual New Year's Eve? That's bad. Although you can watch it on a replay, Kale. That's okay.
Yeah.
Busting Kale's nuts. So, yeah, I'm excited for that, dude. Like, again, as we've talked about, like, it's cool to have the fans be a part of the show. So having everyone just jump in, like I said, Adam can jump back on. Kale can jump on.
Cool.
Gibson's gonna jump on. Otherwise, he's, but anybody wants to jump on, so we're gonna do that. I actually have an announcement to make about our next episode. Brian, you are not going to be here.
No.
Where are you going to be 2 weeks from tonight?
I am going to see, this is the second time I've seen this movie. I'm going to go see Rush Cinema Strangiato. This is the director's cut. It's going to be, Thursday, September 9th, I believe.
Yep.
Super excited to see this. The last time I went was 2 years ago. Neil was still with us, and he's passed. So this kind of has everyone knew the band was done at that point anyway, even when I saw the last movie. But I'm super pumped to see it. Kind of I don't know if this is going to be an annual thing. They have sort of been doing it annual. They'll put this movie out and put some new stuff with it and this and that. But I'm just a huge Rush fan, and they're adding some new songs that were not in the last one. And just a kind of chance, just to sit there and reflect about, man, what an incredible band. We're never going to see anything like that ever again. And I was like blessed to see them, I believe, 3 times live. And just the fact that, I can go to my grave knowing I got to see Neil Peart and Rush, 3 times. It's good. I'm really looking forward to going and see the movie. I'll probably, grab a bite, probably could go with a buddy of mine, have a couple beers, But just a chance to reflect on Rush and how incredible they are. So I will not be here, but John, you are going to have a special guest.
Yeah, so this is going to be a cool one, man. I'm very excited for this one. It sucks that you're not going to be here because I love doing the show with you. But I am going to be doing an episode, and the next one is going to be about score. And it's going to be, kind of a deep dive into score. But it's going to be about the concert and everything and the DVD, obviously. But in Brian's place is going to be an incredible friend of mine. His name is Matt Wardlaw. He's a writer for UltimateClassicRock.com. We've known each other for years and years and years. And he's actually the guy that went with me to Score in New York City. So we're going to dive into Score, the concert itself, obviously the special features and all that kind of stuff. But we're also going to get into our stories from going to New York City, traveling there, traveling back, and stuff that happened with us. I met Mike Portnoy that night. I'm actually in the documentary on disc 2. So it's going to be a deep dive into Score, but with a personal, kind of personal tilt to it because me and my buddy Matt were actually there. So, it's going to suck not having Brian there. I love doing the show with him, but if I can have an awesome co-host, especially for something that has like a very personal story to it, this is going to be the episode for you guys to watch. So my buddy Matt Wardlaw from Ultimate Classic Rock is going to be with me, and we are going to be digging deep into Score, and you're going to hear some cool stories, man. Again, I just teased one, met Mike Portnoy. There's a lot of other stuff, man. It's really, really cool. And if you look for me in the documentary, you can find me. I won't tell you where right now, but I will tell you on that episode because I know the exact minute and second timer. So, yeah. So the next episode will be Score with me and my good friend Matt Wardlaw. So, yeah, we got some cool stuff coming up. We still have, Brian, we talked about we're going to have Monty Colvin from the Galactic Cowboys on. We're going to have a giant 2-part episode. Our deep dive into images and words will be, the first part will be the deep dive, and the second part will be Monty Colvin from the Galactic Cowboys talking about the tour for images and words. So we're going to have a giant episode for that one. We got stuff coming up. We're going to talk about, you and I have been digging into this one for a while, by the way, because we want to really make sure that there's a lot of cool stuff. Top 10 James Labrie vocal moments, which is kind of, for me, it's very difficult as a singer. I know you're a keyboard player, so the Jordan thing was kind of your wheelhouse, but you are a singer as well. You got a great voice, so it'll be interesting to see where you land there. We got a lot of cool stuff coming up, so stay tuned right here. TalkingIntoInfinity.com, CMSNetwork.com, Facebook, YouTube, all that kind of stuff. So, Brian, again, the show just seems to fly by with us, man. I have such a freaking blast every time we do this, man. I'm finally on your page. Like, when we first started the show, you're like, man, 2 weeks. I can't believe it's been 2 weeks. I'm like, get over it. Now I'm like, oh, I can't believe it's been 2 weeks. I'm so excited. So, how the tables have turned.
Yeah, this is a great episode. And I also want to say, if you guys have ideas for episodes and stuff, I mean, feel free to shoot them over to us. We want to bring you content that you guys, want to participate in or have thoughts on. So, the worst we can say is, no, but the best we could say is yes. So yeah, if you guys got ideas for whatever, or if you got contacts or whatever, we're more than open to anything. But yeah, I think we've got a good flow going on this thing, and the audience participation is awesome, and we couldn't do it without you guys. And that's going to be weird. I can't wait to download the podcast in 2 weeks after you have your show. I want to listen and see what you guys talk about, because I know you've talked a lot of times before about your experience going, but it'll be cool hearing Ward's experience also. Here's someone else who's a total outsider. Basically to me, to see what they thought of it and their take on Dream Theater in general. So
yeah, it's like he's one of my earliest Dream Theater friends. And for us to go together, we had been to a couple shows. In fact, we went to the show in Cleveland, as I said, like a week and a half before. So we had been to a few shows together. And it's, of all people, like when you said you couldn't make the show, we had talked about doing a Score deep dive, me and you, and you're like, well, I don't own, the DVD set, so I got to get a copy. And then when you told me that, oh, I completely forgot, you're going to the Rush movie, I was like, well, let me hit up my buddy Matt Wardlaw and see if he can come on. And I mean, yesterday, as we were texting, it was immediate. It's like, yeah, I'm on. So, I mean, it's going to be cool, man. You're going to be having a great time at the Rush movie, and we're going to put on a great episode for everybody here. Again, and Matt, not only was he there with me at Score, but he does write for Ultimate Classic Rock. He's got all kinds of insight into other types of things we can get into. So, Dream Theater related. So it's just going to be a great time, man. So have a blast at the Rush movie. All right. Kale's busting my ass. Let's bring one more comment up before we get out of here. Kale McLeish, how about best solos but without John losing power? All right. So Kale's mentioning power outage. All right. Well played, Kale. Well played.
or as I refer to it, the most terrifying night of my entire life.
That was funny. I felt so bad. I was like, dude, if I had to filibuster for an hour, I'd be like, okay, I could just keep rolling. Oh, you have never had to do that before, and I felt so bad for you. I was, again, behind the scenes moment, I was downstairs on my phone. My wife had this she works for childcare, so she has to have a web hub or whatever you call it. So we were logging into that. I was trying to do everything I could just to get online on my phone to be a part of the show. Nothing worked, and poor Brian's just there pontificating. I was like, oh my God. So anyway, that will never happen again. If it does, Brian, just bail.
Yeah.
Love you, Kale, man. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for tuning into another episode of Talking Into Infinity. Again, we are live right here on Facebook, YouTube, talkingintoinfinity.com, the CMSnetwork.com every other Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you missed the live broadcast, you can find the replays on our YouTube channel, or the best place to find us is at heavymetaltelevision.com. And in fact, while you're there at heavymetaltelevision.com, just check out everything heavymetaltelevision.com has to offer. It's got death metal, thrash metal, heavy metal, hard rock. It's a phenomenal place. It's basically a television channel for any of you who like heavy music, so go check that out. We will see you guys in 2 weeks, September 9th, Thursday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Me and my buddy Matt Wardlaw will be giving you all the scoop on Score, the insider scoop, as we were there, and a deep dive into the record. And Brian, I hope you have an amazing time at the Rush movie. I know you're a huge fan. So, dude, love doing the show with you, man. Hope you had a blast, as I did.
Awesome, man. We'll see you soon.
I teased you, and you're like, yeah, maybe. Man, you guys are awesome. All right, so we will catch you next time on Talking Into Infinity. Thanks, guys. We'll see you.